The quiet murmur of voices seeped through the gap beneath my home office door. It wasn't a surprise. My family had always been secretive about money, but this time, their whispers were about my daughter's future. The trust fund is worth at least $2 million now, my sister-in-law Paula declared. We've helped them for years. It's only fair we get something back. My brother, Kevin, added in a low voice, Jenna has always been easy to handle. We just need to do this right. I'm Jennifer Goff, and up until that moment, I probably was just what they called me, easy to handle. My late husband, John, used to say I was too kind, too eager to keep the peace. But hearing them plot against my daughter, Sarah's inheritance changed everything. I pressed my ear closer to the door, my hands shaking as I held my coffee cup. They had arrived early, supposedly to help prepare for Sarah's 18th birthday party later that day. Now I knew their true reason. Patty is already working on Jennifer, Paula continued. You know how she gets when her mother makes her feel guilty. They were right. My mother had mastered the art of guilt tripping over the years. Just last week, she had convinced me to lend Paula money for emergency home repairs, the third such emergency this year. The girl doesn't need that much money anyway, Kevin said. She's just going to waste it on that art school nonsense. My grip on the mug tightened. Sarah's art wasn't nonsense. She had real talent. John had seen it too, which was why he had set up the trust fund 5 years ago before he passed away. I could still clearly remember that day. Promise me you'll protect her future, Jen, he had said from his hospital bed. Our families, they'll try to take advantage. Don't let them. The sound of footsteps snapped me back to the present. I quickly moved away from the door and pretended to be working at my desk as Paula entered without knocking. There you are, she smiled, full of warmth. We need help with the decorations. Sarah is going to love what we've planned. I forced a smile. Of course, just give me a minute to finish this. As soon as she left, I pulled out my phone and texted Robert, my oldest friend and John's former business partner. Need to talk. Urgent. Can you come to Sarah's party today? His response was immediate. Of course. Everything okay? I stared at the screen, thinking how to respond. Nothing was okay. My family was trying to steal my daughter's future, and I had been too blind to see it. But now, I saw everything clearly. Their frequent visits, the growing money demands, the subtle questions about the trust fund. All explained later. I typed back. The rest of the morning flew by in a blur of party preparations. I watched my family with new eyes as they moved through my house as if they owned it. My mother arrived around noon, immediately criticizing the decorations Paula had insisted on. Really, Jennifer, she sighed, adjusting a banner. You should have let me handle this. You never could organize properly. I bit my tongue, something I'd done countless times before. But this time, instead of feeling ashamed, I felt angry. These people, my family, were already treating my house, my choices, and now my daughter's future as their own to control. Sarah bounded down the stairs, her dark hair flying behind her. Mom, is everything ready? My friends will be here soon. Looking at her excited face, so much like John's, something inside me shifted. I had spent years being the peacemaker, the obedient daughter, the easy-to-handle widow. But John had trusted me with something more important, protecting our daughter's future. Everything's perfect, sweetheart, I said, hugging her. Over her shoulder, I saw Paula and Kevin exchange knowing looks. My phone buzzed, a text from Robert. Just parked. We need to talk about what Kevin has been up to at the company. I looked up to see my family watching me, their smiles not quite reaching their eyes. They thought they had everything figured out. They thought I was easy to handle. Mom, Sarah touched my arm. Are you okay? You look different. I smiled at my daughter, feeling stronger than I had in years. I'm fine, honey. Actually, I'm better than fine. I think it's time for some changes around here. The party would start soon, and with it, my plan to take back control. They wanted to play family politics? Fine. But they were about to learn that the quiet ones, the easy-to-handle ones, are often the most dangerous when pushed too far. Robert pulled me aside during the party, using the noise of teenage celebration as cover. We stood in the kitchen, pretending to get more snacks while he told me what was going on. Kevin has been making unauthorized withdrawals from company accounts, he said, keeping his voice low. Small amounts at first, but they're getting bigger. He probably thinks no one's noticed because he's on the board. I sliced a cake with more force than needed. How much? Robert said, leaning against the counter, his usually cheerful face serious. John would be furious if he knew. The mention of my late husband made my chest feel tight. He knew this might happen. The night before he died, he gave me a key to his home office safe. I never opened it. I didn't want to bring up those memories. Maybe it's time you did, Robert said. But before he could continue, my mother swept into the kitchen. Jennifer, dear, why are you hiding in here? Paula is telling everyone how she's practically raised Sarah. You should come hear the lovely speech she's preparing. My knife slipped, almost cutting my finger. Speech? Of course. As Sarah's closest family, we all have something to say about her trust fund coming through. She patted my arm in a patronizing way. Don't worry, we'll handle everything. I looked at Robert. Mom, I think Sarah should decide how to handle her own money. Oh, sweetie, she laughed, that familiar laugh that always made me feel small. You've never been good with money decisions. Remember that failed boutique you wanted to open? Thank goodness we talked you out of that silly idea. The boutique, another dream I'd let them kill. John had offered to help pay for it, but my family had worn me down with constant criticism until I gave up, just like they tried to wear Sarah down about art school. I need to check on Sarah, I said, escaping the kitchen. But in the living room, I found Paula holding court with the party guests. We're so proud of her, she was saying. Like a daughter to me, really. Such a shame about her father, but we've made sure she never wanted for anything. And now that she's 18... Now that I'm 18, Paula appeared beside her aunt, her eyes narrowed. Several of her friends looked uncomfortable. I stepped forward. Sarah, honey, would you help me in the study for a minute? Once we were alone, Sarah turned to me. Mom, what's going on? Aunt Paula is being weird, and Uncle Kevin keeps talking about family obligations to my friends. I took a deep breath. Sweetheart, there's something I need to show you. I led her upstairs to John's old office. The key was where I'd left it, years ago, taped inside my jewelry box. The safe opened with a soft click. Inside was a thick folder labeled Family Records and a letter addressed to me. My hands shaking as I opened it. Dear Jen, if you're reading this, they've finally shown their true colors. I've kept records of every loan, every favor, every manipulation. They've been draining us for years while making us feel guilty for existing. Don't let them do the same to Sarah. Love, John. Sarah read over my shoulder, her face turning pale. Mom, is this why you've been giving them money all these years? Because they made you feel like you owed them? Before I could answer, footsteps approached. Kevin appeared in the doorway, his fake smile disappearing when he saw the open safe. What are you doing in here? He stepped forward, reaching for the folder. Those are private family documents. Yes, they are. My husband's documents about how you've been stealing from his company.
Kevin's face darkened. You don't know what you're talking about. You never did understand business, Jennifer, always playing the helpless widow. Get out! Sarah's voice cut through the tension. Get out of my mom's house. Sarah, honey, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. She stood straighter, looking so much like John. I've watched you all treat Mom like she's stupid for years. Not anymore. Kevin backed away, his face twisting. You'll regret this, Jennifer. The family won't stand for it. After he left, Sarah turned to me, tears in her eyes. Why didn't you tell me? I pulled her close. I wanted to protect you, but I realize now the best protection is the truth. I held up the folder, and the truth is, we're done being their ATM. From downstairs, I could hear the party continuing, but it felt like a different world now. Everything had changed. Looking through the window, I saw Kevin talking frantically on his phone in the driveway. The war had begun, but this time I had ammunition. The next morning, I sat across from Robert in his downtown office, spreading John's documents across his desk. Outside, rain hit the windows, matching my dark mood. "This is explosive, Jennifer," Robert said, examining a paper trail of suspicious transactions. "Your brother-in-law wasn't exactly subtle with his embezzlement." "He never thought anyone would look," I replied. "He assumed I was too stupid to understand finances." A knock interrupted us. Robert's secretary poked her head in. "Miss Jennifer, there's a Mrs. Patty here to see you. Says she's your mother." I stood up, gathering the documents. "She followed me here. Want me to send her away?" "No." I straightened my back. "I'll handle this." My mother burst in before the secretary could stop her, her designer handbag swinging. "Really, Jennifer, hiding in offices instead of answering your phone? I raised you better than this." I met her eyes. "Did you raise me better than running fake charities and stealing from family?" She faltered for just a moment before recovering. "I don't know what lies Kevin has been telling you." "I have the documents, Mom. All of them. John kept records of everything." "John," she spat the name like poison. "That man never understood family loyalty, always keeping secrets, building walls between us. He was protecting us from you." The force of my own voice surprised me. "From all of you. We protected you." She stepped closer, jabbing a finger at me. "When John died, who was there? Who helped with Sarah? Who loaned you money when you couldn't pay bills?" "Loaned?" I pulled out a document. "According to this, John left us more than enough, but somehow every penny we had kept disappearing into family emergencies. Paula's foundation, Kevin's investment schemes, your gambling debts." She turned pale. "How did you—" "John knew, Mom. He knew everything. He just didn't want to hurt me by showing how my own family was draining us." Robert cleared his throat. "Mrs. Patty, I suggest you leave before we call security." My mother's face hardened into something ugly. "You ungrateful little—" She caught herself, switching tactics. Her eyes welled with tears. "I'm only trying to help you, sweetheart. You're clearly overwhelmed. Let the family handle Sarah's trust fund. You can take some time to rest, maybe see that therapist again." "Get out." My voice was steady now. "And tell Kevin and Paula that if any of you contact Sarah again, these documents go straight to the FBI." After she left, I sank into a chair, shaking. "You did good," Robert said softly, "but they won't give up easily." My phone lit up with a text from Sarah. "Grandma just called, says you're having a nervous breakdown, and they're considering legal action to protect me. What's going on?" "They're moving faster than we thought," I told Robert. "We need to get ahead of this." He nodded, reaching for his phone. "I'll call my lawyer friend at the DA's office. But first," he pulled out an old cardboard box from under his desk. "John left this with me years ago, said to give it to you if things ever got bad with the family." Inside were more documents, but also letters, dozens of them, personal notes between family members showing years of schemes and manipulations. But what caught my eye was a small notebook in John's handwriting. "My darling Jen," the first page read, "I know you'll only read this if they finally pushed too far. Remember, you're stronger than they think, than you think. I've left you everything you need to fight back. Just promise me one thing. Don't let them break you like they broke your father." My father, the family's first victim, driven to an early grave by their schemes and emotional abuse. I'd been too young to understand then. I closed the notebook, my determination growing stronger. "Robert, call your lawyer friend. It's time to show my family exactly who they're dealing with." He smiled. "The quiet ones are always the most dangerous when they finally bite back." "Yes," I said, thinking of Sarah's future. "Yes, we are." The district attorney's office was quieter than I expected. Lisa, Robert's lawyer friend, spread the documents across her desk with practiced ease. "This is quite a paper trail," she said, looking at a particularly damaging bank statement.
Your brother-in-law wasn't exactly subtle with his embezzlement. He never thought anyone would look, I replied. He assumed I was too stupid to understand finances. A knock at the door made us both jump. Lisa's assistant entered with a USB drive. Miss Jennifer, you need to see this. Our forensic team just recovered deleted emails from the Foundation's server. The emails flashed across Lisa's monitor, messages between Paula and various donors, all shell companies traced back to Kevin. Money laundering, plain and simple. There's more, the assistant said. We found messages about Sarah's trust fund from 6 months ago. They've been planning this for a while. My phone buzzed. Sarah again. Mom, Aunt Paula is at the house. Says she needs to talk about my concerning behavior. I didn't let her in. Smart girl, Lisa commented. But we need to move fast. They're escalating. I texted back. Stay inside, lock the doors. I'm coming home. Lisa gathered the documents. I'll file for an emergency restraining order, but Jennifer, she caught my arm. Be careful. Cornered people do desperate things. I rushed home to find Paula's car still in my driveway. She was pacing on my porch, phone to her ear. She's not answering the door, she was saying. We need to... Oh, here she is. She hung up, putting on a worried smile. Jennifer, thank goodness. We're all so worried. Save it. I pushed past her to my door. Sarah, it's Mom. The door opened just enough for me to slip inside. Paula tried to follow, but Sarah slammed it shut. She's been here for an hour, Sarah said, trembling slightly, saying all these things about you, about Dad. She said you're having a breakdown, that you're paranoid. Open this door, Paula's voice carried through. Jennifer, you're only proving our point. Sarah needs protection from your instability. I pulled out my phone and dialed. Hello, police? There's someone refusing to leave my property. I turned on the speaker so Paula could hear. Yes, I'd like to report harassment. Paula's pounding stopped. Moments later, we heard her car start and drive away. Mom, Sarah's voice was small. What did Dad's letters mean about Grandpa, about them breaking him? I led her to the couch. Your grandfather was a lot like me, trusted family too much. They used him, took advantage of his kindness until... I swallowed hard. The stress killed him. Heart attack at 52. That's when your dad started keeping records. Sarah's phone lit up. Kevin calling. She declined it. They're all calling, texting, saying you're sick, that you need help. But it's them, isn't it? They're the sick ones. Before I could answer, my phone rang. Robert, Jennifer, turn on the news, Channel 7, now. The TV flickered to life, showing Paula standing outside what looked like a courthouse. Concerned about my sister-in-law's mental state, she's making wild accusations, threatening family members. We only want what's best for her daughter. She's trying to get ahead of the story, Robert said, but she doesn't know what's coming. Just on cue, my email chimed. Lisa had filed the restraining order, and attached was something else, proof that Paula had embezzled from her own charity to pay for plastic surgery. The press would love this, I thought aloud. Mom, no, Sarah grabbed my hand. Don't play their game. We have to be better than them. Your daughter's right, Robert said through the phone. We do this legally. Lisa's prepared to move forward with criminal charges. But first, he paused, there's someone else you need to talk to, someone who can blow this whole thing wide open. Who? Your mother's personal assistant. She reached out to me this morning. Says she has proof of everything. Recordings, documents, photos. She's willing to testify. My hands started shaking. Why would she help us? Because your mother fired her last week after 20 years of loyalty. Threw her away like garbage. Sound familiar? I looked at Sarah, then at Paula's face, still smugly playing on the TV. Set up the meeting. After hanging up, I held Sarah close. I'm sorry you have to see all this. Sorry our family turned out to be... Stop, she squeezed my hand. You're my family. You and Dad. The rest of them, they're just people who happen to share our DNA. Outside, a police car drove by, responding to my call about Paula. On TV, she was still spinning her web of lies. But for the first time, I felt truly strong. The quiet ones might be dangerous when pushed too far, but we were also patient, and patience combined with truth was about to become my most powerful weapon. Margaret, my mother's former assistant, met me at a small coffee shop downtown. 20 years of working for my mother showed in her stiff posture and nervous glances toward the door. "They don't know I'm here," she said, clutching her coffee cup. "Your mother, she'd destroy me if she knew." "She already tried to destroy you," I pointed out, "firing you after 20 years. Margaret's laugh was bitter. "Because I questioned a transfer of $200,000 from the family trust to an offshore account." She pulled out her phone, showing me screenshots. "She's been moving money for years. Your brother's gambling debts, Paula's cosmetic surgeries, Kevin's failed investments. And now they want Sarah's trust fund. They're desperate." Margaret lowered her voice. "Kevin lost big at the casino last month, really big. He needs that money to pay some dangerous people." My blood ran cold. "How dangerous?" "The kind that break kneecaps." She handed me a USB drive. "Everything's here. Recordings of their meetings, financial records, even videos of Kevin meeting with loan sharks." The bell above the shop chimed. Margaret flinched, but it was just a college student with a laptop. "Why didn't you come forward before?" I asked. Tears welled in her eyes. "Your mother, she knows things about my son's adoption, things that weren't exactly legal. She threatened to expose it if I ever spoke up." My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. "Uncle Kevin is here. He's crying on our front porch." "I have to go." I stood, grabbing my purse. "Thank you, Margaret. We'll protect you, I promise." I found Kevin slumped on my porch steps, his usual neat appearance disheveled. Sarah watched through the window, phone ready to call the police. "Please," he said as I approached, "just 5 minutes." "Start with the loan sharks," I said. He jolted up, eyes wide. "How did you—" "I know everything, Kevin. The gambling, the embezzlement, all of it." "They'll kill me, Jennifer," his voice cracked. "I owe them $500,000. They've already threatened my kids." "So you thought stealing my daughter's future was the answer?" He ran his hands through his hair. "Mom said you'd understand, that family helps family, like you helped Dad." Stealing his business contracts, driving him to an early grave, that was different? "No," I cut him off. "It wasn't. You're still the same selfish, entitled bully who thought he could take whatever he wanted. But not anymore." "What are you going to do?" Fear crept into his voice. I pulled out my phone, showing him Margaret's evidence. "I'm going to give you a choice. Either you confess everything to the DA about the embezzlement, the charity fraud, all of it, or I'll do it for you. Either way, your house of cards is falling." "You'd send your own brother to prison?" "You stopped being my brother the day you decided to steal from my daughter." His face hardened. "Mom was right. You've lost your mind." "No, I found it." I opened my front door. "You have until tomorrow to decide. After that, everything goes public." Inside, Sarah hugged me tight. "Are you okay?" "I'm better than okay." I showed her the USB drive. "We've got them, sweetheart. All of them." My phone rang. "Robert, Jennifer, turn on the news again, now." This time, it was my mother on screen, tears streaming down her perfectly made-up face. "My daughter is suffering from severe paranoid delusions. We're only trying to protect her child from her instability." "She's filing for emergency custody of Sarah," Robert said, "claiming you're mentally unfit." Sarah grabbed the phone. "They can't do that. I'm 18. "They're claiming your mom's instability puts your trust fund at risk. They want financial guardianship." I thought of Margaret's evidence, of John's letters, of 20 years of manipulation and abuse. "Enough," I said. "Robert, call Lisa. Tell her to release everything to the DA. All of it." "Mom?" Sarah squeezed my hand. "Are you sure?" I looked at my daughter. Strong, brave, everything I should have been years ago. They wanted a war? Now they had one. Through the window, I watched Kevin stumble to his car, already dialing his phone. He'd run to our mother, just like always. But this time, she couldn't fix it. None of them could. "What happens now?" Sarah asked. "Now," I pulled her close, "now we show them exactly what happens when you push the quiet ones too far." Outside, storm clouds gathered, promising rain. Perfect weather for the storm I was about to unleash on my family. They thought they knew me. Quiet, easy to handle Jennifer. They were about to meet the real me, the one who'd been waiting 20 years to fight back. And this time, I wasn't fighting just for myself. I was fighting for Sarah, for John's memory, and for every person they'd ever crushed under their designer heels. The war had begun, and I intended to win. The conference room at Lisa's law office felt too small for the amount of tension it held. My mother, Kevin, and Paula sat on one side of the long table, their lawyers flanking them. Sarah and I sat on the other, with Robert and Lisa beside us. "Before we begin," Lisa said, placing a recorder on the table, "I want to make it clear that this meeting is being recorded." My mother's lawyer leaned forward. "We're here to discuss the custody petition." "No," I cut in. "We're here because I'm giving you one last chance to do this quietly." Paula laughed, that familiar condescending sound. "Do what quietly? Continue with your paranoid accusations?" I nodded to Lisa, who started playing a video on the large screen behind us. Kevin's face turned white as he watched himself meeting with known loan sharks in a parking garage. "Turn that off," my mother snapped. "Why?" I asked. "Afraid of what comes next? The video of you threatening Margaret about her son's adoption? Or maybe the one where Paula discusses laundering money through her charity?" Paula's lawyer whispered something in her ear. She waved him off. "These videos prove nothing. They're probably fake." The FBI's forensics team disagrees. Lisa pulled out a document. They've authenticated everything, including the offshore account transfers. Kevin slumped in his chair. "Jennifer, please, my kids should have been your priority before you gambled away their future and tried to steal my daughters." My mother's perfectly manicured nails tapped the table. "What do you want? Drop the custody petition, sign these papers acknowledging Sarah's full control of her trust fund, resign from all company positions, pay back everything you've stolen. And if we refuse," Paula's voice wavered slightly. I pulled out my phone, showing them a drafted email to every major news outlet in the state. Then, in 1 hour, everyone knows everything. The fraud, the embezzlement, the charity scam, everything. "You'd destroy your own family?" My mother's voice cracked. Sarah spoke up for the first time. "You destroyed this family long ago, Grandma, when you decided money was more important than love." "Love?" My mother laughed harshly. "Love doesn't pay bills, dear. Your mother never understood that. Always so soft, so weak." "Weak?" I stood up, planting my hands on the table. "I watched you break my father, watched you manipulate and steal and lie. I stayed quiet to protect my daughter, to keep the peace. That wasn't weakness. That was strength." Kevin's lawyer whispered urgently in his ear. This time he listened. "I'll sign," he said quietly, "and I'll testify about everything." "Kevin!" Paula grabbed his arm. "It's over, Paula." He shrugged her off. "They have everything. We lost." My mother stood abruptly. "I raised you," she hissed at me. "Everything you are is because of me." "No," I met her gaze steadily. "Everything I am is despite you." Sarah pushed the papers forward. One by one, they signed. Kevin first, his hand shaking. Paula next, tears smearing her expensive mascara. Finally, my mother, her signature as rigid and controlled as ever. "The FBI will be in touch about the financial crimes," Lisa said. "I suggest you all get separate lawyers." As they filed out, my mother paused at the door. "You'll regret this, Jennifer. Someday, when Sarah turns on you the same way." "Get out," Sarah's voice was steel, "and don't ever contact us again." After they left, I collapsed into my chair, 20 years of tension draining from my shoulders. "Mom," Sarah took my hand, "are you okay?" "I think I'm better than okay." I squeezed her hand. "For the first time in my life, I'm free." Robert clapped my shoulder. "John would be proud." "The FBI will want to interview you both next week," Lisa said, gathering the papers. "But the hard part's over. They're finished." My phone buzzed. A text from Margaret. "Just saw them leave. Is it done?" "Yes," I typed back. "You're safe now. We all are." Sarah hugged me tight. "Can we go home? I really need to sketch right now." I laughed. "Art therapy?" She pulled out her sketchbook. "I've been working on designs for that boutique you always wanted to open." My breath caught. "You remembered that? Dad told me about it before he died. Said it was your dream." She showed me the designs. Modern, elegant, perfect. Maybe it's time for new dreams to come true. Looking at her drawings, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Hope. Pure, unlimited hope. Yes, I said, holding my daughter close. It's definitely time for new dreams. We walked out of the law office into bright sunshine, leaving the shadows of my family's manipulation behind. Sometimes the quietest warriors win the biggest battles, and sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's finally being free. 2 weeks later, I stood in an empty storefront downtown, Sarah's sketches spread across a makeshift table. Robert walked the space, taking measurements, while a real estate agent pointed out features. The location is perfect, the agent said. High foot traffic, recently renovated. My phone buzzed. Lisa's name flashed on the screen. Kevin just finished his FBI interview, she said when I answered. He gave them everything: bank records, meeting dates, even recordings of your mother planning the custody petition. How did she take it? She's been admitted to the hospital, claimed chest pains when they came to arrest her. Lisa's voice hardened. Don't worry, they have guards posted. I ended the call just as Sarah came running in, waving her phone. Mom, look at this. She pulled up a news article. Local Children's Art Foundation under federal investigation. Director faces fraud charges. Paula's foundation. I leaned closer. It's all coming out. Sarah scrolled through comments. People are sharing stories about donated money that never reach schools. It's trending locally. Robert joined us, whistling low. Your aunt's not going to enjoy prison fashion. Neither is Grandma, Sarah said, then bit her lip. Sorry, Mom, I know this is still hard for you. I touched the rough brick wall of what could be my future boutique. Actually, it's not. For the first time, I feel light. The agent cleared her throat. Should we discuss the lease terms? Before I could answer, the bell above the door chimed. Margaret hurried in, clutching her bag. I'm sorry to interrupt, she said, but you need to see this. She pulled out a laptop, opening to a video file, security footage from your mother's house from last night. The grainy footage showed my mother and Paula arguing in the study. Even without sound, their fury was evident. Paula grabbed a heavy crystal vase, a family heirloom, and hurled it at the wall. They're turning on each other, Margaret explained. Your mother accused Paula of working with Kevin to set her up. Paula blamed your mother for everything. It got ugly. How ugly? Robert asked. Margaret fast forward. Paula threatened to tell the FBI about something from 20 years ago, something about your father's death. My hands went cold. What about my father's death? I don't know details, but your mother's face, Margaret shuddered. I've never seen her scared before, until then. Sarah grabbed my arm. Mom, what does this mean? It means, Robert said grimly, we might not know the whole story yet. My phone buzzed again, a text from an unknown number, a video file attached. Play it, Sarah urged. The video opened on Paula, looking disheveled and desperate. Jennifer, I know you hate me. You should. But there's something you need to know about your father's death. Your mother, The video cut off abruptly. Call Lisa, Robert advised. This could change everything. But before I could dial, another text came through, this time from Kevin. Don't trust Paula's video. Mom's on her way to your location. She knows about the boutique. Be careful. We need to go, I said, gathering Sarah's sketches. Now. The agent looked confused. But Belize. Tomorrow, Robert told her, ushering us out. Family emergency. In the car, Sarah clutched my arm. What do you think Paula was going to say about Grandpa? I don't know, sweetheart. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, but I'm starting to think your father kept records for more reasons than just money. Robert followed us home in his car, checking our house before letting us enter. Inside, I went straight to John's office, pulling out the box of old letters. There has to be something here, I muttered, rifling through papers. John knew everything. He must have known about this, too. Sarah helped me search until her hand froze on a sealed envelope. Mom, this has today's date on it. What? I took the envelope. Sure enough, John had dated it exactly 20 years from my father's death. He knew, Robert said softly. He knew someday you'd need this. Before I could open it, headlights swept across the windows. A car door slammed. Jennifer, my mother's voice carried through the door. We need to talk about your father. Sarah moved closer to me. Mom? I looked at the envelope in my hands, then at my daughter's worried face, thinking of all the lies, all the manipulation.
No more secrets, I said, breaking the seal. It's time for the whole truth. The truth about my father's death, the truth about my mother, the truth about everything. And, judging by my mother's desperate pounding on the door, it was a truth she'd kill to keep hidden. John's letter trembled in my hands as my mother continued pounding on the door. Robert stood guard while Sarah read over my shoulder. My dearest Jen, if you're reading this, you finally discovered the truth about your father's death. The heart attack wasn't natural. Your mother had been slowly poisoning him with digitalis, stolen from her friend's prescriptions. I found the evidence too late to save him, but not too late to protect you and our future child. The proof is in the safety deposit at First National, key enclosed. I kept this secret to protect you until you were strong enough to face it. Forgive me for waiting. Love always, John. Jennifer, my mother's voice cracked. Don't read that letter. You don't understand.
Call the police, I told Robert, then turned to the door. He knew, didn't he? Dad figured out what you were doing. I did what I had to do, she shouted. He was going to leave me, take everything. Sarah's hand found mine. Mom, the police are 3 minutes out. You killed him because he was leaving you? My voice rose. Because he finally saw who you really were? He was weak, just like you've always been weak. I made you strong. No, I moved closer to the door. You made me afraid, but not anymore. Sirens wailed in the distance. Through the window, I saw Paula's car screech to a halt behind my mother's. Patty, Paula screamed, running up the walkway. Don't! The door burst open. My mother stood there, mascara streaking her face, a small revolver shaking in her hand. I won't let you destroy everything, she whispered. Put the gun down, Robert said calmly, stepping between us. Mom, Sarah's voice was steady despite her fear. Is this really who you want to be? The grandmother who held her own daughter at gunpoint? Something flickered in my mother's eyes. Doubt, maybe even shame. Patty! Paula reached for the gun. The police are coming. They struggled briefly before the gun clattered to the floor. Robert kicked it away just as police cars flooded the driveway, lights painting the walls red and blue. I have a confession to make, Paula said as officers rushed in, about Howard's death. I helped Patty dispose of the evidence. I'm so sorry, Jennifer. I've been sorry for 20 years. The next hours passed in a blur of police statements and evidence collection. Lisa arrived with the FBI, armed with John's letter and the safety deposit box key. My mother and Paula were led away in handcuffs, both looking somehow smaller without their designer clothes and practiced poise. Dawn was breaking when we finally finished with the authorities. Sarah hadn't left my side once. What happens now? She asked as we stood in our living room, watching the last police car leave. Now, I picked up her boutique sketches scattered in the chaos. Now we build something new, something honest. But first, Robert interjected, we need to talk about the company. With Kevin cooperating and your mother arrested, you're the majority shareholder, Jennifer. John made sure of that. I looked at the sketches in my hands, then at Sarah's hopeful face. Maybe it's time for some changes there, too. Starting with the children's art program, a real one this time. Sarah's eyes lit up. We could combine it with the boutique, have a gallery space for young artists. Speaking of young artists, Robert pulled out an envelope. Lisa asked me to give you this. It's your acceptance letter to the Art Institute Sydney, the real one, not the rejection your grandmother fabricated. Sarah's hands shook as she opened it. I got in! I actually got in! I held my daughter as she cried happy tears, thinking of John, of my father, of all the dreams that had been crushed under my mother's designer heels. But not anymore. Never again. Your father would be so proud, I whispered to Sarah, of both of us. He is proud, she said firmly, and so am I. You fought back, Mom. You won. Looking around our home, no longer a battlefield but a sanctuary, I felt peace settle over me. The quiet ones might take longer to fight back, but when we do, we fight for keeps. We fight for truth. We fight for love. No, sweetheart, I said, holding her close. We won, and we're just getting started. Outside, the sun rose on a new day, painting everything in shades of possibility. My mother had tried to write our story in poison and fear, but Sarah and I would write our own ending, in art and light and truth. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't in destroying your enemies, but in refusing to become them, in choosing to build something beautiful from the ashes of their destruction. And that's exactly what we would do, together.